This is Angela Barias here. This video is sponsored by angelabarias.com. You may find the link in the description below. Click like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can get notifications of new videos we load. I'll be watching for your comments, so hit like and share with others. And good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello for those that are in a different time zone and coming here to join me. This is Angela Barias. I am your financial coach, certified financial coach, 20 years experience in everything that has to do with dealing with money, learning new ways of getting out of debt, saving for your retirement. There's so much to learn. There's so much to apply when it comes up to finances. Seems to be kind of like a very difficult subject for many. That's why, as promised, we started doing these encounters. Tuesdays in English, Thursdays a Spanish version. Is the same subject every week, one new subject, so you can kind of like add to your life a tweak, so you can get better, so you can do things in a better way, and so you can have a totally different outcome in life. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here with me, for accompanying me throughout, and for coming to learn this super subject. And I want to dig into this because a lot of people, this is what people call the American dream. But what you're going to learn tonight, you can also apply to your dream in your own country. It has nothing to do just with the American dream, okay? The American dream of becoming a homeowner and not a loaner, okay? Having your own piece of land that's on your name, that pertains to you, that it's yours. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's subject is simple steps to buy my first home. Many people come to the United States of America really wanting to actually get better. You know, the idea of this wonderful country, the freedom that we have here, the abundance, regardless of what, the abundance that we possess here on this land. And you becoming part of the real estate environment by owning your own house. There are many pieces here in this puzzle of the real estate. And for the majority of people, just the common people that come here to the United States to work and to make a better life, at some point you start wishing and wondering, how can I do? What should I do? What are the things that I'm supposed to do in order for me to become a homeowner? Because after a while, you realize it's worth it. When you start thinking, well, I work really hard. I make my payment, my rent payment every single month. But guess what? Where I live is not mine. I cannot make changes to anything. I can never customize in my way. It's just simply not mine. Okay, it's kind of like you're throwing your money out the window every single month because you're making somebody else rich. That's pretty much what you do with that. Now, is it a bad thing? No, sometimes it depends on the circumstance. Sometimes it has to do with moments, situations. And the most important thing is that it's never too late to get to that dream of owning your piece of land. But it comes with responsibility, like anything else in life. It comes with responsibility. So once again, while I wait for people to join me, and I like to share this super subject about simple steps to buy my first home, I want to remind you that you can find more information about subjects like this in my website, www.angelabarias.com. You can always reach out to my resources on my YouTube page, of course, IGTV. You stay with all this information, so you can go there, and if you cannot take notes because you're just listening to it, you're driving, you're doing something else, you can't be cooking, you're taking care of your family, but you're paying attention, that's fine. The purpose of this encounter is for you to gain knowledge. Knowledge is power. Nobody can ever take that away from you. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about these simple steps to buy my first home. And as I mentioned to you, this subject is going to be available in Spanish version this coming Thursday. So you can share this information with others. You can tell them, just go there, Angela Barias, Barias Dream Team, that's my IG, and they can come and check the information and learn and just learn. Now, this subject has several important pieces. So today, I'm just gonna make it super simple for you to understand how to get a house. How to get a house. It's not that difficult. There's a lot in it, but if you find the right people and you just understand the basic, most important steps, you get to it. Okay, so let's begin. Simple steps to buy your first home. Remember this: become an owner, not a loaner. Okay, in all circumstances of life, you have to be empowered to say, this is mine. I can do with this what I think I like to do with this or not. Okay, so first question for you is: are you ready to purchase a home? Because for anything in life, especially for this big item, this is a big ticket item, you have to make sure that you are ready to buy a house. It's not like going to buy a pair of shoes at the store that if they don't fit or you don't like them, you can return them. This is something that when you get it, you have to stick with it for a little while. So are you ready to buy a house? Ask yourself some questions. And if you're here with me, if you're reaching this video now, what I want you to do is just take a pen and a paper. I always request that from you. And take simple notes. Don't try to transcribe everything I said, because this stays here in this video in this IGTV. But just take simple notes, reminders, kind of like things that are gonna stick to your mind. Okay, so ask yourself some questions. Do you know what is your debt to income ratio? And what is that, Angela? Well, debt to income ratio, how much you have in debt, that shows up on your credit, and how much you earn every single month, because we need to determine how much you have left, if you have the purchasing power to do it. So that's the first question, debt to income ratio. DTI, by the science in English, DTI is the way that we know it in the real estate environment. Do you have sufficient money to purchase cash? Because believe it or not, most people think they don't, and a lot of people might have the resources to do it. And if that is the case, no problem whatsoever. You can move forward, okay? Purchase cash. I'm not touching the mere subject, what is included in the actual purchasing or the full amount, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So another question is, if you don't have cash, let's just say you don't have cash, or you don't have sufficient cash. I hope that's what it is. That you don't have sufficient, but you have some. Do you qualify for a mortgage, a loan? We're gonna determine that. I want to give you an idea. I cannot specifically tell your case. You will have to reach out to me for that, or to us, or to a professional in the area, in the environment, in the subject, so you can get that an acceptable answer to that question. But if you want to know if you are ready or not, as a certified financial coach, I can help you with that. Now, how much mortgage in that case could you afford? That is a formula. It requires a little math. Why? Most people usually just think of, I want to purchase a house, and they just try to do it. I want to remind you that the housing industry, back in 2003, 2004, is brought up different kinds of mortgages, and they were built to pretty much inflate the industry. That's just the way I see it. And they got all these new instruments to lend people money, without asking for verification of income. Some of them didn't even care about the credit. Anybody could purchase a house back then. So if you were a hairdresser and your taxes were super low, that didn't matter because they just made things happen. And those bad mortgages that people acquire in an during an inflated market when the house industry went up and up and up, and all of them ended up in foreclosure. Unfortunately, most people, the majority of people, ended up without a house. And worse than not having a house is not being able to get into a house, meaning like you didn't even have the ability to show that you were responsible enough to get a rental. So that's why I'm asking these questions. These questions are vital for you to establish whether you're ready or not to purchase a home. So once we know if you can afford your mortgage, during this process, I want you to know that your income is going to be key, but not the only key. Okay, so how much income you make is an important question. Well, I don't make enough, Angela, so I can't buy a house. Well, we cannot determine that by your thinking alone. We have to determine that by your income and expenses, your savings, your ability to pay those things. So you cannot disqualify yourself just because you think you don't make enough income. Now, there is an acceptable amount, but you might be surprised. Some people don't make a lot, but they do save a lot and they're able to purchase a house. Is your credit acceptable? Because guess what? If you don't have the entire amount to purchase a house, let's just say it's a condo, is $150,000, and you don't have $150,000 plus closing costs, etc., then you're going to have to apply for a mortgage loan. So your credit is going to play a significant role into you getting that. If it's not acceptable, then you're going to have to work on it. So that's another piece of the puzzle. Another question will be, do you have money saved? And this is very important. Do you have money saved for the down payment? And I'm gonna give you an idea of what that is. Down payment, closing cost, because that's another percentage that goes along when you purchase a house. You're gonna have to pay for title insurance, the actual agency that's in charge of making sure that the transaction is legal. The recording your instrument, your mortgage goes recorded. There's the stamps, the taxes. There's a lot of things that are included in there. Okay, the processing of the loan also has a cost. So there's another amount that you have to consider, and that's the one you're going to transfer with your initial offer, because it's not just having a down payment. There's some expenses at the beginning. Most people don't talk about this. Most people in the real estate industry like to talk about closing costs and down payment like a one set amount that you just need to have, and then you purchase a home. And most people don't get to buy a house because they don't understand the little aspects that are going to make you successful in the transaction. So the initial offer amount is important. Why? Because once you establish an offer for a house that you want to purchase, and once you get a confirmation that they have accepted, that the seller has accepted your offer, you're going to have to execute that agreement. First, there's an offer, then we're going to have to put in place an agreement. And at that point, your agent or your realtor or your broker or your lawyer, whoever is in charge of the transaction, is going to have to help you get the paper across, and you're going to have to transfer some money to say, hey, with my offer and with the acceptance, here's the money. So yes, there is an interest. Also, there is a verification of funds. And if you don't have funds to purchase, nobody's going to take you seriously. There's another amount you have to have there, cash, home inspections. You might need to do that. Once everything is accepted, you start the process of getting to the closing to the closing table, you're going to have to do a home inspection. You just don't want to buy as is. I would just leave that for investors and flippers because they are at most risk. They will take the risk. But when when we're talking about you buying your home, especially if it's the first time you buy a house, I don't want you to take those kinds of risks. I want you to be secure that what you're purchasing, you are able to handle. So there are different amounts like this that you need to consider. Now, can you show liquidity for future home emergencies once you have purchased your house? Listen, with 20 years experience and many times I purchased properties, I have to tell you that sometimes things don't go exactly the best. They don't go well right after you purchase a home. And sometimes there are things that for as much as you try to consider, they just show up. It comes along with maybe the age of the building, the age of the house, the age of the unit, comes along different things. And so you have to be prepared for as simple as having to change an appliance that after that you worked until you purchased the house and a month later you don't have a washer machine or your refrigerator went. And then that's a major purchase. It is a major purchase. And if you don't have what we've talked in other sessions, which is an emergency fund, then you're going to suffer. You're going to have to compromise your credit. You're going to end up in debt. Okay? So the liquidity is extremely important. What kind of house are you looking to purchase is another important matter. Sometimes you have a dream of a huge house, but you cannot afford it. So once you dig in the information, learn more, educate yourself, you can decide that maybe the first house you buy is not going to be the dream house, but it's going to be the first step for you to become a professional in home ownership. And that's my intention here, okay? That's my intention as your coach and as somebody that knows that's extremely important, okay? I'm going to show with you a percentage. This percentage is very, very interesting. 43% debt to income ratio is generally used by the Federal Housing Administration as a guideline for approving mortgages. So I want you to know that even though this is out there, the information is there. That's just a guideline. So when you apply for a loan, depending on which financial institution is providing you with that, this percentage may vary, right? So it is the right for you to ask that question to the professional that's going to help you go through this application when you request a loan. Now, I'm going to give you an example. And this example is just to illustrate. This is not an example that applies to every single person. Like I mentioned before, if you're watching this video because you came across learning about this subject of how to buy your first house, then I'm just going to illustrate the idea. When it comes up to your personal ability to purchase a house, you have to reach out to me if you want more information, detailed information on whether or not you're ready to purchase a house. And if you are, that it's going to be excellent because you're going to be able to move forward. And if you're not, it's going to be even better because you will have the ability also to question me on what to do to get to that stage of buying your own house. So I'm going to give you an example based on this 43% that is used as a guideline from the FHA, right? The Federal Housing Administration. Let's just say you have a monthly gross income of $4,000. $4,000, very average, okay? $4,000 income. And let's multiply, let's just find out what's the debt to income ratio that's required by guidelines. So we just got to multiply that for 0.43 or do that on your calculator, 43% of $4,000. So if you take $4,000 and you multiply that by the percentage, 0.43, it's going to give you a total of $1,720. So in other words, out of your income, you can only dedicate $1,700 for your mortgage expense with everything included in it. Okay, and I'm going to touch the subject of what's included in the mortgage expense. It's not just the principal and the interest, but there's some other aspects that are considered depending on the kind of loan you're choosing to get or that you are qualified to get. Now, out of this, now that we established $1,720, let's subtract all the expenses, obligation, the monthly obligations that you have. Now, when I say monthly obligations, it's everything that you're going to have to pay that shows up on your credit report, okay? If you have obligations that are cash, they're not showing on your credit report and you're not being honest with yourself that you have that, it's going to become a stress factor on you purchasing this house. So let's just say minimum credit card payments of $120. That's considering maybe one or two, okay? Car loan payments, $240. I'm giving you a national average. Depending on where you live, this might be higher. Student loan payments, $120. So let's just say the obligations were $480. Now we are going to subtract that from the $1,700, and in theory, you will only have $1,240 to afford the mortgage. Now, this is not including any things like taxes or insurance, those things like that. So you have to be very careful, but this is pretty much the idea when you think about, can I afford to buy a house? Well, we have to consider these numbers. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the steps, those simple steps that I promised to you that I was going to share today. And these simple steps are going to help you move towards this future purchase. So step number one is going to be get your financial house in order. You need to obtain a financial GPS. As I mentioned in different other occasions, and you're going to hear me talk about this, you need to get your finances in order. You need to know how much is coming in, how much is going out, how much is left, what are you doing with the money, how much you have invested, how much you're putting into savings, and all those different things. Very, very important. Okay, so how do you obtain a GPS? Well, it's just a simple factor of looking on paper all your numbers. So if you need to get one, you have to reach out to me via direct message, and I will help you obtain one. When the results of your financial GPS come, they might look like a more understanding way to say, can I buy a house? Can I not buy a house? That GPS, that form that you do is going to allow you to decide whether you can purchase it or not. If you don't get this financial analysis or this GPS that I'm talking about together, you're going to be very lost in the process because you're not understanding your money. That's when the process of purchasing a house becomes so stressful that you just feel sometimes that you want to quit the process. This happens to a lot of people that are trying to purchase their first home. That's why I said I'm going to share with you the simple steps. If you follow the simple steps, you're going to be fine. So in these simple steps, get the GPS. You need a GPS, I will more than gladly serve you with one. You just have to reach out to me. Now, if you are not, let's just say the GPS tells you that you are not ready yet to go purchase a home. So then this is what I want you to do. I want you to get a financial coach, somebody that can help you pinpoint each and every area that you need to work on and to help you get it done. That's what a financial coach is going to do. It's not going to do it for you, but it's going to keep you accountable so you can get that done. It's kind of like having your best friend telling you, hey, don't forget to do that. Hey, don't forget to do it. So that's pretty much the financial coach is going to make you see the things you cannot see when it comes up to your finances. If you plan on purchasing something as big as a house, if you really want to become a homeowner, you have to get your house in order. Now, this GPS I'm talking about, is going to tell you if your credit worthiness is not acceptable. So in that case, if you have that financial coach with you, you might get the resources as well to just get that credit moving up. Okay, because there is a minimum amount. Credit goes between 300 points all the way to 800 points. I talked about this within another of my videos, but I'm going to bring the subject later on another video that talks more specifics about getting your credit in good shape. Sometimes financial coaches don't advocate for you to use credit because many financial coaches want you to live off of cash only. But like everything in life is permissible, you also have to learn of the responsibilities that come with it. So there is nothing wrong with learning the rules and utilizing credit the right way. Now, do you need it? You don't need it. Do you want to learn how to use it? A video will come very, very soon in which you're going to learn that portion. Now, determine the amount you need to save each month to cover for down payment, to allocate the money into a mutual fund that pays you good returns. Why do I say this? Because if you're not ready to buy a house, then chances are you need to put some money away. If you don't have the money for the down payment and the closing costs and everything that entails that I just talked about a few slides before. Now, just don't save the money under the mattress. Just don't put the money at a regular savings account, because if your ability to purchase a house is within 2 years of time, then you can take advantage of 2 years of great rate of returns. So for that, my best advice is not to go buy stocks, because you don't want to play with that money like that, especially if you don't have any experience trading. But you can go ahead and reach a mutual fund that gives you a good 9 to 12% rate of return. There's plenty out there. If you want those resources, let me know. Save for 3 to 6 months of your household expenses. But Angela, I don't have a house yet. How am I going to know? Simple. First of all, when you're going to purchase a house, you're never going to go beyond your means, meaning that any professional that has to do with your process of purchasing, is including the loan processor, your real estate agent or broker or your attorney. We're all going to make sure that you keep yourself within the means, within the same idea, same financial idea in which you live. Because if we take you farther from that, beyond your means, we're going to make you fail. And within our code of ethics, we have promised to be truthful to this section as well. It's important for us that you as a client be good. So 3 to 6 months, very simple. Anything you spend right now, you multiply in a month, right? You multiply by 3 or by 6. And then you say, well, this is the amount I have to save for 2 years in a row. And so just divide it in payments, 24 payments. By then, you should be good to go. So now, down payment, closing costs, expenses, things like that. You need to save an extra 4% on top of that. Oh, it's getting a little bit expensive, Angela. Yes, purchasing a house is serious. So besides the down payment that I mentioned, besides the expenses you need to have set aside just in case for future, you also need to have a 4% just to conclude the actual mortgage process. So that 4% of what? 4% of these percentages are talking about the purchasing price. So if you're trying to purchase a condo or an apartment that's $150,000, you just gotta find out the 4% of 150, okay? And that's the 4% extra you have to save. So as a rule of thumb, in general, in real estate, we talk about 7 to 8% to have ready just by the time you are ready to purchase. But I go a little safer than that, because most real estate professionals do not consider what a financial coach considers, which is all the other little aspects of money that go out your wallet when you're getting into the process, okay? Including gasoline expenses of going for showings and trying to check on new places. We're gonna get there, but all that is expense, and it's important to have that. You cannot live off of credit only. Also, if you're not ready to purchase because your GPS said, no, you're not ready, you're going to have to wait 18 months, 24 months, maybe 3 years. And for some people, even 3-4 years, 5 years. Okay. Do not desist. Don't deflate. Don't feel bad. Just start working towards it. And what you need to do, super important, I will highly recommend you to do this, because that's going to change your world. Spend 1 to 2 hours a week. I'm not even asking you a day, a week. 1 to 2 hours a week. Maybe 30 minutes a day. Learning about real estate, the market, the situation, what's happening, the neighborhood where you are looking to purchase. You'll be surprised as you start digging into this information. Sometimes you question yourself, well, maybe I don't want to live in that area. Maybe that's not the place I want to raise my children. Maybe I don't want to spend my last years over there. So it's important for you to just take an informed decision. So that's going to require more information. When you're doing nothing but maybe watching TV, if that's what you're doing, or listening to news that are fake, then just scroll in your phone and start learning about more about real estate in your area. Grants, government grants, first-time home buying programs. There is so much to learn. Listen, there are a lot of people that when they go purchase a house, they lose the ability to get resources that even the government has available in one specific town, like grants. There is so much out there. And so sometimes people just want a house. They just want a house instead of doing the research, okay? So that's important. I will just highly recommend you to do that. It will make a difference. Believe me, the success that we have shown in my office to help people go from not having a home to buying their first home is a lot in the education, in the understanding of the process, okay? You become much more brilliant about the purchase that you're going to make, and satisfied. Once you purchase, you feel like you really did the right thing for you and your family. And then last, when it comes up to this process, while you wait to purchase your house and you're learning and doing and saving, doing what's right, getting your credit in shape, develop a relationship with a good agent. Develop a relationship with the loan processor, the person that's going to help you get the mortgage. Just don't go getting somebody. This is very common in the industry. You go to you find a house in one of the websites, and then you went to the bank that you bank at, and the bank doesn't really know you much, but they did your loan. So they don't understand you or your needs. They just understand the money they're going to make in between. Now you have the loan from there, and then you found a house on the internet, and that realtor called you. And what are the chances that realtor is really going to understand what you need? The realtor is after also a commission, because they're going to spend some, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're going to spend some time with you, showing you, and they want that accomplished as well. So don't go cold on that. build a relationship with look for a good agent, somebody with experience, somebody that understands the market, but also understands finances. There's tons of real estate agents. There's tons of associates out there. There's tons of realtors. There's tons of brokers. Everybody's in the world of real estate also to make money, and that is fair. But from these aspects, what is really fair for you to do for yourself is to make an informed decision, and that requires actually make good relationship with people, because when you care, you actually think many more times before doing the wrong thing for somebody. Okay, so important. Now let's just deal with the fact that you were ready to purchase. So now let's go to step number 2, because since you are ready to purchase, we're going to jump immediately into step number 2, because step number 1 was to get a financial GPS. Step number 2, you're ready to purchase. The step number 2 is get pre-qualified for that mortgage. Since you cannot buy cash because you don't, this is not for the fellows that have the money to purchase the entire thing via cash. This is for those that have some cash, you got the credit, you're really ready, you want a house, and you're ready to move forward. So you have to get pre-qualified. On this subject, I have to tell you that I went and researched the last statistics. You know, I always like to bring you some numbers. The reason why I do is because that makes you more aware about what's going on. 42% of home buyers usually go shopping for a home without having a mortgage pre-approval. Now, I'm going to tell you what, if you're watching this video and you're really wanting to buy your house, follow the steps. Get pre-approval first. Because when you go shopping for a house, and the realtor or the real estate agent, mostly the associate, just maybe doesn't have a lot of education because it's a new agent, is just excited to pair with you to go on this search. When the agent gets to learn that you don't have a pre-approval and you've been spending hours of the weekend trying to look for places and everything, that agent gets a little bit discouraged as well, because you're wasting time. You don't even have a way to make an offer. So this is very important. The homemortgagereport.com that I was reading, very interesting, has a lot of information on this subject, but 4 out of 10 people just want to buy a house and they don't know the process. Okay, so it's important that we turn these numbers around. Now let's understand this part of the process and ask some more questions. If you're here with me and you get to know me a little more, then you learn that Angela Barias, as a certified financial coach, is always encouraging not just you that are here with me, but everybody. Ask questions. Critical thinking. It's super important factor to make things better. Your loan processor during this step, your loan processor. There are many terms in real estate, okay? So I want you to bear with me. The loan processor is the person that's actually going to help you apply, gather the information and everything else. So the loan processor is going to pair you with a financial institution to get approved. So this person, this loan processor, that's why I mentioned before, it's important for you to build a relationship with these kinds of people. This to see if they have the ethics, they have the moral character, all that is important. This person is going to follow very strict rules for you to get the mortgage done. Now, these people are serious, hardworking people. They're there and they plug a lot of numbers and they do a lot of paperwork for you to make it happen. You have no idea of the amount of work that's behind putting a mortgage together. So their ethic is to make you feel at ease during the process. And your part is to provide for as much information as this loan processor asks you for. So now, what can you expect during this process? Well, this loan processor is going to facilitate an application, mostly digital. Folks, majority of things are digital now. I know a lot of people are stuck in the past with the papers, but majority of things are digital. So surprise, surprise, most of loan processors are going to send you a link, and out of that link, you're going to be induced into a website or an application in which you're going to load all the documents that they ask you for, and also it's going to allow you to see where you're going to be in the process, which is super. I think it's super cool. I think it's great that you know where you are instead of waiting for somebody to call you. I think it's right there at your fingertips. It's going to also request permission from you as a purchaser or possible purchaser to run your credit score and get your credit report. So with this being said, if you have, you need to understand that is going to create an inquiry to your report, and that's going to bring your credit score down. Now, I don't want you to stop here and say, okay, so then if it's going to harm my credit, I don't want to do it. No, it's part of the process. It's part of the process. So learning the rules of the credit score on the next video that I'm going to bring, so you know what's in it. It's going to allow you to identify that you cannot be just applying to different things if you plan to purchase a house. If you plan to purchase a house, you cannot have inquiries in your credit, at least not in quantities, maybe 1 or 2, 3 the most, but no more than that in a 1-year period. Because the minute you apply for this process, it's gonna give a hit to your credit score. It's just a little, it's a few points. You don't have to go nuts on it, but yes, it's going to affect it. This loan processor also is going to request details about your expenses. So I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Don't worry. They are ready mentally and emotionally to be surprised about what you're bringing, right? No, they're never surprised. They know there are situations. So if you have gone through the GPS, getting a financial needs analysis in process or a GPS put together, this is not gonna take you by surprise, because your certified coach is going to have you prepare with those documents so you can easily apply. It's gonna request information about your pay stubs, so your income, your taxes, anything that's required paperwork-wise to determine what's your debt to income ratio, how much you can afford, and what kind of a loan you are gonna have to get into. Are different types. I'm gonna share them with you. Now, the loan processor also needs the contact number of the real estate professional that's gonna help you search for your house, whether it is a broker, a real estate attorney, or a real estate associate. Why I'm telling you this? Because it's a team working together, and they themselves usually are gonna bring about a title company in that's gonna help you as well to make the closing possible. Okay, so these things is not for you to go crazy. It's for you to identify that there is going to be a team of people working with you, and therefore you have to facilitate this information so they keep communication with you. Best thing, paper trail. So you tell your loan processor and your real estate person that you want to be part of the emails, so you'll be in the loop of what's going on. All right? Now, number 1 within this point, cash purchases. Like I mentioned, if you have the cash, you can go ahead and buy. Okay? If you have the cash, you can go ahead and buy. That is, if it's within your means, right? Consider the purchasing price, how much you want to spend or invest on, in this case, in buying your house, closing cost. Consider the taxes that you're going to pay, the insurance, because it's not the same, the amount of insurance that's necessary to cover a house that's close by the water, or that is not, or that has some, turbulence or storms or some hazards, natural hazards to say. Okay. So, and money for the initial offer. Those are the things to consider in a cash purchase. Pretty much very simple because it's cash, not much to determine but numbers. That's pretty much. Now, the number two within this number two steps is the type of mortgage. So I'm just going to fly here on mortgages that exist, the possibilities that are out there. Which one is the best? It's not for Angela to determine. It's for the loan processor to help you choose, or the broker, the mortgage broker, to help you understand more. Now, there are conventional kind of loans, and there are FHA loans. On conventionals, what are the advantages or disadvantages? Let's just say they're not backed by the federal government, for instance. Those are pretty much instruments that are issued by financial institutions. They decide from maybe a private pool of investors if they can give you a conventional loan, right? So they will have their own guidelines. If they want to be very strict, they will tell you, we need all this. If they want to be a little bit more lenient, they might. You need good credit. And in some instances, for some conventional mortgages, you don't need an excellent credit. But if your credit score is too low, you're going to pay for that. Believe me. Okay. Also, you need to establish that you have an income. Because nowadays, after the crisis we had back in 2008, everybody's looking for that. You might need 5 to 20% down payment just for the loan. And if you do less than 20%, they're going to require mortgage insurance. And that's an extra expense in your monthly payment. All right. Now, when it comes up to an FHA, that's a Federal Housing Administration kind of a loan. You, first of all, is backed by the federal government, to say the least. You needs good credit. It doesn't have to be super excellent. It doesn't have to be 800 points, 700 points, but you do need a minimum score. If you go at least to get a 3.5% down payment, which is a very low, very accessible for a lot of people. If your credit score, and there is a possibility in this case for your credit score to be accepted at a 580 points, the loan processor will tell you there is a chance for you to do that. Now, me as a coach, I will tell you, don't purchase if that's your situation. Let's fix your credit, but let's get it better. But if everything else plays positive, more times than not, I would say just go ahead and do it. A credit score of 580 will qualify you as well, but you're going to have to give a higher down payment. So like I mentioned before, it's going to cost you money. And then there's a tighter debt to income ratio. Why? Because the government is going to require a certain minimum. That's when, remember I said that the guideline, that 43% is the debt to income ratio guideline from the FHA? Well, that applies. That's never going to be lower. So you have to consider that as a must. There are other type of loans. They might not apply to you directly, but I know there's some people that will watch this video that are in these categories: conforming loans and non-conforming loans. There are government insured veterans affairs, or what we call the VA loans. Those are for veterans, of course. We have agricultural loans specifically for land, fixed rate mortgages, adjustable rate mortgages, first time home buying programs. There's first time assistance programs. So like I mentioned, if there are so much out there, it's just a matter of connecting with the right professionals and also education for yourself. When it comes up to credit, important, whether you have a good credit or not, you're supposed to at least review your report. And this is free for everybody here in the United States of America for as long as you have a social security number. It's a www.annualcreditreport.com, and you have the right to pull up your 3 credit reports from the three main bureaus a year. This is annual. That's why it's called annualcreditreport.com. There are no hits to your credit when you do that. So very healthy to do once a year, just to make sure that all the addresses are correct, etc. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna bring more information in a different video that talks about credit and why it's important that we correct certain things, and you can do it all on your own. Simple steps. Step number 3 now. Okay, we got the pre-approval letter. You're ready to go. Let's go search. You need to choose or have that relationship already established with an agent, a broker, a realtor. Somebody that's going to help you. Why? Because you can do it on your own, but more times than not, you're not going to be successful. You're going to be unsuccessful, I'm saying, because you do need somebody that guides you, that narrows it down for you. Okay? Make it simple. Allow people to do their job, and you'll see how effective that is. Now, I want to pinpoint 3 different aspects of this, or 3 different people that can play a role, because more times than not, people use these words interchangeably to say, and we all think it's the same, but it's not. So a real estate agent is a one person, a broker is another person, or they can be both the same, and also an associate. So let me give you this information: real estate agent or an associate. This is a person with a license in the real estate industry. Okay, it's a professional, it's a facilitator. They're ultimately responsible for bringing buyers and sellers together, right? And they get paid a commission. It's usually paid by the seller, not by the buyer. Okay, they get paid a commission. It's a percentage of the sale. If the sale is $300,000, they do get paid a certain commission, usually at 3%. It depends on what's arranged by the seller and the broker that's listing the property. A broker, differently from an agent, the broker might work independently, right? It just has, let's just say, a broader responsibility. A broker employs other real estate agents that works for him or her, and then handles more technical parts of the actual real estate transactions. Okay, those are the responsibility of brokers. Why? It's kind of like they're the employer and they have employees. In the case of real estate, there's no employer and employees. Everybody works independently, but they do hold certifications and licenses to have an agency, a brokerage agency. Okay, and the realtor, when we say I have a realtor, you have to be careful. Well, it's really used out there, but a realtor is a specific professional that belongs to the Realtor Association. They do have a certain seal in their name as a real estate agent realtor. Okay, so they are agents, but they are realtors. So we cannot call everybody a realtor. You cannot think that because somebody gave you a car and says, oh, I'm a realtor. You have to look at the car and see if the person is associated with the Realtor Association or not. Now, Realtor Association encompasses a lot of people that work just like me in the real estate industry. Okay, so you have to do the work of the research to learn more about the person you're dealing with. Very important that you hire somebody to work for you that's not just interested in cashing a commission, but has an interest of your well-being and the success of your transaction. What to expect from your real estate professional? Basic. A good one. And you'll know by this, the first thing a good real estate professional does before taking you out on the field to see houses is going to sit down with you. Might give you coffee or tea or something. Doesn't have to. But it's going to give you an initial interview. It's going to be prepared to talk to you, to learn more about your search. You're going to have to take some intake forms and just provide some information. Why? because I know you're anxious to go purchase. Yeah, I want to go purchase. I got my pre-approval letter. But you have to allow this real estate professional to do their job as well. They want to be professional with you by just narrowing down to the aspects that interest you. Otherwise, you're gonna start like searching all sorts of like going for all sorts of properties, and then you're gonna get discouraged. So a good real estate professional, first thing that it does, sets up an appointment with you personally to get to know you, your spouse, your family, just to understand what exactly you guys are looking for. Possible intake form with objectives. Okay, objectives, because it's not, if your pre-approval letter says you can purchase $500,000 houses, that it doesn't mean that you have to go get a $500,000 house. Be careful out there, because I've seen professionals in the real estate industry just going for the goal this way. You have to keep yourself within what you can pay. Also, expect explanations on the purchasing process. A good real estate professional is going to assist you throughout everything. Now, be patient. That's why I mentioned to you, you got to build a relationship with the person, because you have to learn the style of the real estate professional. So depending on the temperament and their personal, being, sometimes they're good to explain things, sometimes they're not. So you have to develop that, so you can feel like you can talk to the person. Listen, I don't like this, I do like that. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you're here with me. We're talking about simple steps to buy my first home, and we are on step number 4. So if you missed a little bit of this, I just remind you, just go back to my IGTV, and the video is going to be there, YouTube as well. And if you want more information on upcoming workshops, are going to be soon to be announced. They're coming. Another thing to expect is the house hunting. Look, a real estate professional is going to tell you, based on your requirements, you want a garage, you want a pool, you want this, you want that. And these are the neighborhoods, these are the areas, this is what's best, this is what I think is worst. It's going to be based a lot in that experience that professional brings to you. So you have the right to ask all the questions. Don't think because the real estate professional knows or supposed to know, then you have to go with what the real estate professional says. The real estate professional is there to guide you, to help you, to assist you, okay? Assist you in the application, in putting the offer. Once you find that place, you're gonna go through an offer process. And it's important that you determine that real estate professional is great communication, and that responds fast to everything. Now, do yourself a favor. Be good with the professional and respond back within an acceptable time, because they have an interest on you getting also to the end goal, which is buying your house. And they send you a text message and you don't answer. Or they send you an email and you don't even check your emails because you have 18,000 emails in 3 different emails. So find a way to always communicate with your real estate professional. If 2 days have passed and your real estate professional hasn't heard from you, or vice versa, give the person a call. It's important. That's why I mentioned at the beginning, you have to develop a relationship with your team, right? It's a team assistance for you to get your house. Let's go to the house hunting. Step number 4. Let's go to the house hunting. Now, simple. Location. I know you heard this in the past. Location. Forget about the location. That's not the most important thing. But I want you to consider the location. And for all of you like joining, we are talking about simple steps to buy my first house. So location. 20 plus years in the real estate arena. Let me tell you, as a mother, wife, family, all that, think if the place you're purchasing is close to a noisy highway or not. Think the distance that it takes you to get to work. Think about If the house is right at the corner or in between two houses, if it's facing the south, the east, the west, think on those things, okay? Look, just don't go by, it's looking gorgeous, all right? As a real estate investor, I have flipped many properties, but I have also seen how other investors buy houses, fixer uppers, and they fix the house and then they put it up for sale, but they really don't do the job. They don't do the work inside, and they just give you an aspect. They give you the cosmetic. And when you look at it, the paint looks spectacular, and they just have just a touch up. Then you buy the house, and then you don't like what you bought. So you're gonna go through a process here, and you want to ask a lot of questions, right? What year the house was built? If you notice that everything is super new, is there any permits on it? Okay. Or the description says that you're buying, the listing says that you're buying a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, but the actual house originally is only 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. Be careful, because that hinders your purchasing price and the equity, the value of your house, okay? The location, like I mentioned, the development. Guys, when you're purchasing a house, think, look around, observe. Is there new buildings being built? Because maybe you're buying in a residential zone, and then 2 blocks ahead, there are some multifamily, and I'm talking about high rises with a lot of people living in there that are gonna crowd your roads, and then you're not gonna like it 2 or 3 years ahead. Think about those. So is it a growing community? Also in the positive aspect, to say, do I have stores close by, maybe restaurants? If you're a person that likes going out and things like that. The lot size, how big is it? Maybe it doesn't come with a pool, and you always wanted a pool, but you can build it. You can build it later on. Or maybe you just like a lot of patio and you like a lot of green. So it depends on or maybe you don't like none of that. Zero maintenance, Angela. I don't like maintenance. So you know what? I just want a small space, manageable to me. Don't consider those little things. Consider that. The electricity in the building or the electricity in the house. Consider those things. And if you don't know much about that, once you do the inspection, you're going to ask your professional about everything you want. Are you sure the electricity was good? Is there anything in the plumbing that we have to be worried about? All those things you're going to get through the inspection. Kids' necessities, how close parks are, if you can walk, if you can jog, do exercise, whatever it is that's within your lifestyle. Talk to your real estate about that, your real estate professional, because all that has a lot to do with the success. Step number 5, making an offer. Now we got to the table, you guys, you found the place. This is my place. I want it, and you fall in love. I've been through it. And you fall in love with the place. Sometimes it doesn't go through because it's so hot. The place is so good that somebody comes out with a better offer than you. But don't get discouraged. You keep on looking until you find the right place, okay? Making an offer. And at that point, this is what you're going to expect. Listen, the agent is going to submit an offer for you, usually electronic. Everything is like nowadays. They send you the email, and you go on the click. There's a lot of aspects. I know you're excited. I know you don't want to read. I know there's a lot of little things there that you don't want to know about. That's why it's important that you build a relationship with your real estate professional. So it's not just a paper. So the person can actually verbalize, listen, don't worry. This is like this is like that. All right. So your agent is going to submit that for you. Once you and your agent analyze and said, well, this house really is valued at this amount, but there's another house here, a mile away that's higher than this, but it has a pending contract. So you come out with a number, and you decide, all right, so let's say the house is $250,000, And even though you could afford that, you have the right to negotiate for less. Don't go for the price. Always ask. If they tell you no, you renegotiate. Don't worry. Your real estate professional is going to help you make sense on the offer, because you can't pretend to say, well, it's 250. Okay, so let's offer 200. You will insult the seller. It's a process, okay? There is a value in the real estate. So you come out with a number, it's been put through, and if you get accepted, the next step is going to be transferring a portion of the money so you can secure the closing and say and tell the seller you are serious about finishing the process. But if the seller does not accept your offer and comes with a counter offer, it's just telling you, listen, I don't like your offer, but I'm willing to negotiate. What can you offer me more? Right? Maybe they have an offer somewhere else. And but they don't like it. Maybe it's something about you that it's okay that they want to sell the property to you. So renegotiate, get it through. Once everything is moving towards generating an application, an actual agreement, you're gonna have to again do some paperwork. This is lengthy. But remember, it's all electronic. Before, I remember it was a whole lot of papers like this. And by hand, you will have to do all those signatures and initials. Today is just a matter of clicking, all right? So if it fills in the blank by itself. Now, once the agreement has been executed, what your real estate agent is going to ask you is to schedule an inspection. There is always a kind of a period in which you could do this and then pull out of the deal if something is wrong with the property. So let's hope for the best. You're gonna need some money to pay for the inspection ahead of time. You see, you cannot leave this towards the end. And inspector is going to come, make sure that everything is fine, provide you with a report, and if everything is good, we move ahead towards the closing date. There is a period depending on the kind of loan you're pushing or you're pulling through, and it usually takes 45 days. I want you to consider this before I finish this session today, that when you purchase a house, it's not just the pre-process to get to finding your house, but it's also 45 days that are required when you are purchasing via FHA loan, for instance, right? And so during those 45 days, you have to make arrangements, whether to stay where you are and pay a little more. So there are some other expenses to consider. Each case is different. That's why I always encourage you, if you want to learn more, you can always send me direct message, and I'll be super, super, super glad to just meet with you and give you all those little details. We get to the end, you get approved, inspection is done, money is transferred, you got to the table. They get a special agent to come notarize all the paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork now. And you sign. They're going to give you something called an ALTA, just like that, ALTA. That's going to give you all the little details of what you're purchasing. The title company is going to make sure that everything has been covered on both ends, the seller and the buyer. And when everything is clear to go and they just check off the clear, they print the last papers, and then they go record your loan and record the title in your name. Now you are a homeowner for real. And at this point, the real estate agent that sold the place hangs that one sign that says just sold, and then it's time to move all your things to the new place and just call it home. So now, like I said, 5 simple steps to get there. You just have to do the dirty work at the beginning, because that's what's required. And what you can expect tied up to this video that I brought today is tips to make your life easier. That's going to be the next video that I'm going to bring for this series that have to do with real estate, purchasing, homeownership, flipping, and all those kinds of things. The next video is going to be tips to make your life easier after buying your first home, because once you got your house, there are things that you're going to love to learn from me that are going to make your life so much easier. Believe me, so much easier. Okay. And it's going to take all the hassle of the new place and trying to go through this experience after closing. So I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for joining me tonight, for sharing this video with other people. I remind you just to go into my IGTV. You can pull out all the videos from over there, learn more about this. We talked about simple steps to buy my first home, and I tell you, it's possible no matter what. You just have to initiate the process. More to come. You can reach out to me via YouTube. All these videos are loaded there too. And if you're interested in learning about upcoming seminars and workshops, you can go to my www.angelabarias.com and subscribe so you'll get the information from me. I want to thank you for being with me tonight. If you have any questions, any questions that you want to ask, you can go ahead and send me a direct message, and I'll be happy to help you with. Once again, Angela Barias, I'm your certified financial coach. It's been lovely just to be here with you. And Thursday, Spanish session for my Hispanic people that want to learn how to become a homeowner. Share it, talk to people about this, because renting is not a way. Owning, it's a life. All right. So I see you guys soon. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And we talk very, very soon. Bye-bye.